Alrighty, we are back, and it's been a long while. Many of you hit me up in the comment section asking me, Claimer, when are you going to do another technical breakdown? Have you abandoned the game? And the answer to that question is kinda, but that's only because Steel City made it clear they would be focused on larger updates released every month or so, as opposed to incremental updates every few weeks. So with that, I wanted to give them breathing room to refine the things that the community have made clear matter the most. Number 1, online cheating and exploits. Number 2, the rational balancing of fighter stats. Number 3, online performance. Everything else, such as new fighters, venues, single campaign, I consider to be secondary. Why? Because YouTube and Twitch influencers garner a huge audience playing the game competitive, and since that aspect of the game is already launched, why not make sure that works first, as opposed to leaving it to dry? But here we are, 2 months later, where Steel City have released their first big update, and I'm going to break down every aspect of what Steel City have to offer, as well as offer you my own 2 cents regarding these changes and the future of Undisputed. So let's get straight to it. New fighters. Carl Frampton added to the game. Frampton joins the bantamweight and featherweight divisions. Riddick Bowe added to the game. Bowe joins the heavyweight division. Ju Khan added to the game. Ju joins the featherweight and lightweight divisions. If you don't know much about Ju Khan, I'd highly recommend watching his fight versus Jesus Rohan. He's a great fighter, great addition to the game. Move on to venues. Added C7 hangar, large aircraft hangar located along the western coast, United States, that has been converted into an events hall. Added Falcor Bay, venue set in the open square of an old cobbled Mediterranean town at sunset. Okay, if any of the above means anything to you guys, let me know in the comments. Personally, it doesn't mean a thing. So moving on to the bread and butter. Gameplay changes. Implemented a new movement mechanic to help players close the gap, make inside fighting a more viable option. Fighters can now dodge diagonally forward right and forward left, which we hope will make a big impact through fighting on the front foot for fighters like Frazier, Porter, and Marciano. You can activate the diagonal dodge by holding the front right bumper, flicking your left joystick down. Now, before we move on to other changes, let me first offer my thoughts on this mechanic. I've tried it out with a number of fighters. Of course, it makes sense to utilize it for smaller packed fighters, and whilst it is a nice addition, I am once again left befuddled why such an addition does not have stamina drain. You can literally bob and weave the entire fight, lose no stamina, at least as far as I'm aware. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but if stamina drain is not applied to this feature, it does leave me questioning, where is the quality control at Steel City? I'm under the impression you're not working as a team. You're siloed off, design in one section, development in the other. Do you have testers who question these things? I don't know. I might be wrong, so let's not digress. Moving on. Enabled stance switching in online play, which means fighters like Usyk now switch from southpaw. Switch stances by pressing the right arrow on your controller. They've improved the stance switching animation, adjusted how all boxers enter weave blocking to be smoother, expanded trait system to include 3 separate levels for each trait, increasing a fighter's ability at each level. You will start to see additional fighter trait level adjustments in updates moving forward. Okay, so I think what they mean here is that essentially fighter traits are flexible relative to the fighter applied to, which makes sense. Stamina changes. Maximum stamina drain for base punches increased by 10%. Stamina can no longer drop below 30%. Damage changes. Swelling resistance curve has been adjusted to allow for more damage to take place. Cut resistance curve has been adjusted to allow for cuts to appear more frequently. Increased the damage done at lower stamina values to make fights more engaging. Increased swelling chance by 10%. Damage cap. The maximum damage a single punch can do has been significantly increased, meaning that punches that combine a range of damage multipliers, for example power punches, landing in a critical zone, or landing a counter punch, can now do more damage than was previously possible. Okay, I haven't experienced this myself, but let me know in the comments if you've noticed a difference. The minimum damage each punch can do has been increased, so it is now 10% below base level, and power punch damage increased for hooks and uppercuts. General changes. We've added an experimental instant replay system for knockdowns and knockouts. This is currently disabled by default and is only available for offline play. Players can choose to enable instant replays in their game's video settings. This is the first iteration of replays in Undisputed, and will continue to work to improve it for future updates. So please let us know your feedback if you choose to use replays. I think replays are a great addition. However, I think for testing purposes, kinda makes sense to keep that on by default in order to gain constructive criticism, not only from those who want to turn it on, but also from those where instant replays was just an afterthought. Updated the boxer's sweat visual effects when getting hit, adjusted the sweatiness level across multiple boxers. AI changes. AI on Undisputed difficulty should now feel more aggressive across all fight styles. That's interesting. I'll offer my thoughts at the end of the video. We move on to fighter changes. Joe Frazier introduced a leaping left hook animation to replace his step forward left hook. Tommy Morrison, speed improvements to left hook and step forward left hook animations. Left hand power increased from 95 to 96. Hook modifier increased from 92 to 93. For Floyd Patterson, Rocky Marciano, Roy Jones Jr. and Adam Hamed, updated idle animations when in loose movement. Terence Crawford, updated shorts to have stitching on the nameplate. Priorities, eh? Chantel Cameron, overall increased from 86 to 88. Body resistance increased from 83 to 86. Accuracy increased from 85 to 88. And any other additional stats have increased by 2 to 3 points. Deontay Wilder, traits have been upgraded to the new level 3 variant to make him more powerful. Increased speed of head hooks and straight punches. This has been mentioned to me that Wilder is looking a lot more like his real life counterpart, so great work Steel City. Uppercuts and body hooks replaced with punches we believe are a better fit. We move on to Roy Jones Jr. in heavyweight. Overall decreased from 87 to 85, and they've included here a list of most of Roy Jones' stats, and essentially in heavyweight they have all been reduced by 1 to 3 points, which I think makes sense since as a heavyweight, Roy Jones is known to be slightly overpowered. Let's go over the general changes. Steel City state that they've made improvements to their online networking. Players should now experience fewer desync online issues. While it should feel improved, there's still work to be done to ensure it's in a place we're happy with and that work is ongoing. We'll continue to ship improvements when they're ready. Now, to be frank, the general consensus I've heard so far is that desync has got worse. So if you guys can confirm in the comment section whether this is the case or not, that would be much appreciated. And just before I offer my personal thoughts on the game, let's skim over general bug fixes, which I think are worth noting. Adjusted the targeting zone on Joe Calzaghe's up close left and right hooks as they were previously mistargeting and aiming too high. Adjusted Joe Calzaghe's loose idle animations so that he no longer slightly floats off the canvas. Fixed an issue that was causing the boxer's muscles to not look correct. Fixed an issue where boxers would continuously move in the same direction when a flash knockout occurs. Fixed an issue where the lunge in left hook would move the boxer if performed after a right hand punch. Fixed an issue where the ropes in Santiago Gym would disconnect from the dividers when the boxer moves into them, and fixed an issue where the AI wouldn't block correctly. Alrighty, so let me know what you think of the updates so far. As for my own thoughts, well, the first thing that comes to mind is there is absolutely no mention of the cheating epidemic online. As long as there are cheaters online, there's very little reason to play. And if it's something you're struggling with, it's not the best of looks keeping it hidden under the rug. I've been mentioning anti-cheat systems since day one. If Valve's anti-cheat system can't be implemented, simply knowing that something is in the works really would suffice. As for these updates themselves, it really feels like there's a focus on everything other than the core issues, and that those core issues get slightly tweaked to where you then officially claim or showcase that they're being worked on. And that's the impression I have after playing this update for roughly 3 hours. For example, I don't see any changes in desync issues. When I play as Frank Bruno, who has 40 wins and 38 KOs in real life, I'm still left confused as to why this man cannot bust a grape in the game. This is after the update, where it's been mentioned these things have been refined, and myself and others on Reddit aren't noticing these differences. Stamina and punch impact has been an issue since day one. There were talks of reworking the entire system. However, it seems these are numeric values that could be tweaked, but for whatever reason, they're remaining roughly the same. I mean, I can offer you a simple scenario in real life. If my opponent is standing opposite me with his hands down and I throw a lunging left hook to his chin, the expectations are that my opponent will be static, so my aim will be more precise and the punch thrown will either knock him down or daze him or stumble him. But in its current state, I can throw 5 to 10 hooks to an opponent's chin to where they don't even stumble backwards. However, in round 5 or round 8, I might throw a right cross which results in a KO. I guess my point is, I feel at this point in the game, the focus should be on including more conditional statements. As with my last example, if boxer is stationary with guard down and is hit with a heavy punch to the chin, execute the following action. I'm not trying to sound sound condescending here, it just goes back to priority and critical thinking. Are these conversations and scenarios which are being spoken about? So to conclude on that, the unnatural stamina and lack of punch impact is still an ongoing issue, and I believe should be prioritized both for online and offline play. If the next big update does not make significant adjustments to these issues, I think most of us are left questioning if you see them as problems in the first place, or respectfully, if you have the resources and abilities to fix these problems. Either way, if they're not fixed, I genuinely can't see how you will be able to compete with the likes of the next fight night, which I'm sure is in the works. And last of all, with all the talks of focusing on the AI and balancing the AI, here is an example of me playing after the update against the AI on default settings. If AI has been a key focus, specifically preparing for a campaign, these results are slightly concerning. And I go back to nuanced logic. If we're this many months in and this is the AI outcome so far, where will we be in a month? Perhaps you have another iteration or other plans we're not aware of, and all I can do is give Steel City the benefit of doubt that they know what they're doing, because as I alluded to before, it's not going to be long until the competition strike and strike hard. A new Fight Night game only needs to utilize the same engine they're using for UFC 5, and once that's released, I'm not sure how Undisputed will be able to compete. However, I wish them all the best of luck, and I hope they pull through. Anywho, those are my thoughts. I know that those who are brought up by a single mum will say I'm being too harsh, that I'm being negative. I would say this is nothing but tough love. If anything I say does not resonate, then they have nothing to worry about. So if you guys appreciate honest, constructive criticism from someone who is not in cahoots with Steel City, no affiliation, and no interest in being affiliated with them for my own personal gain, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you appreciated this update, please be so kind as to leave a like and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, have a great weekend, stay blessed, and see you guys soon. Peace.